Hey guys, Russ Merrill here, and now we've had the opportunity to see the Elf and Royal decks in action. It's time to open the next two starter decks. First, we have Starter Deck 3, Mysterious Training, featuring Witch class or Runecraft. And on the right, we have Starter Deck 4, Snake Dragon's Claw Fangs, featuring the Dragon class or Dragoncraft. Once again, I'll be going in order, so let's start with Witch. Yup, the interior is basically the same as the other starter deck so far, so I think we can just go right into the cards. Starting with the Miscellaneous Cards. Now, what in the world is this cool, badass looking thing? Attack type Golem? Man, I think this deck has already captured my heart. If there's one thing I like more than super robots and mecha, it is fantasy-style renditions of them. So this is a 2-cost 3/2 token with Rush, so it can attack enemy followers the turn it is played. How many attack golems? 3, 4, 5. And oh my god, I love the fact that it has there are different golems for different functions. Here we have the defense golem. I'm pretty sure it has ward, right? Yes, it does. Man, this one is cool as well, and I love how the stats are reversed so that it's more defensive, having 2, 3 instead. I assume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yup. And there we go, our 3 EP points, and our leader for Witch, which is Isabella. Now let's go into the main deck itself, but you know what? I'm going to do things slightly differently today. After playing the game, I realized it's very important to see how the follower evolutions affect the field, so I'm going to separate the main deck and the evolve deck so that we can look at their normal and evolved effects at the same time. Okay, now back to the main deck. So this seems to be the ace of the Witch deck, Mithril Golem with just Golem in its traits. A 6-cost 5/6, and on Fanfare, inflict 3 damage to all enemy followers. On Spell Chain 7, deal 5 damage to all enemy followers instead, and on Spell Change 15, deal 5 damage to all enemy leaders. So similar to combo for the Elf deck, Spell Chain is the signature keyword for the Witch deck. And these effects basically apply if you have at least a specified number of spells in your graveyard. So if you have 7 or more spells in your grave, you'll be inflicting 5 damage to all enemy followers instead. And if you have at least 15 spells in your grave, on top of bombing all of the enemy followers, you'll deal 5 damage to the enemy leaders. Very sick. So this is our legend rare. 3 copies of him. Next, we'll put the ace up there. We have Rune, Fencer's Rune Blade Summoner, a 3-cost 1/1. But on Spell Chain 5, +4/+4, and on Spell Chain 10, she gains Storm, allowing her to attack the turn she is played, whether it's against enemy followers or the enemy leader directly. Here we have Demon Flame Mage, which is a 3-cost 3/3 and can be evolved for 1 cost. Okay, we have a very similar follower like this in all of the decks so far. A 3-cost 3/3 that can evolve for 1, which goes very well with the evolve points mechanic. So I believe we will get 3 copies of her, and what's important to see now is what exactly happens when she evolves. She becomes a 4/4, and when evolves, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. Man, the Elf deck is going to hate this. So of course, 3 copies to match the main deck. And what is this next guy over? Oh, it's a spell. Insight. It's a 1-cost quick to draw 1 card. Hey, that doesn't sound bad. And in fact, it sounds like a great way to get even more spells in your grave. Okay, 3 copies of that. Next, another spell for 2 cost. Yes, I'm assuming there are many spells in this deck. This is Fire Chain, another quick for 2 cost. Choose up to 2 enemy followers and divide 3 damage between them. Pretty useful. So far, it sounds like they're pretty good at dealing with swarming decks like the Elf. Lightning Shooter. On Fanfare, choose 1 enemy follower and deal it 2 damage. But on Spell Chain 5, inflict it 4 damage instead. And on Spell Chain 10, deal that follower's leader 2 damage as well. Nice, man. I would really like to see this deck at full capacity, like with the trash, like with 10 to 15 spells there. And then all of these spell chain effects just going off like crazy. Penguin Wizard. That's pretty cute. It can evolve for 1 cost. And during the main phase, you can act this card and discard a spell from your hand to draw 1 card. Sounds like a pretty good way to generate more spell chain. So we're definitely getting 3 of that, and since he evolves, let's check out his new form. Wow, he's literally changed species. This is an Emperor Penguin, right? If I'm not wrong. On Evolve, stand this card. And during the main phase, once again, you can act this guy, discard 1 spell from your hand, and draw 1 card. So just within 1 turn, you can put 2 spells into your grave and replace them with 2 draw. That's pretty sick. And I mean, with 5 defense, he's gonna last a while on the field, man. So that's 3 copies of that. moving on to the next one. What is this? Our 1-cost follower, Rookie Magician Sammy. She can be evolved for 2 cost, and on Fanfare, look at the top card of your deck and you may send it to the graveyard. Nice. So more compatibility and synergy with Spell Chain. Since she evolves, I think she should be... Oh, we have one last evolve over there. Let's take a look. Oh, and there's no Goblin in this deck. I guess Goblin is just for the aggro decks. Anyway, when Rookie Magician Sammy evolves, all players draw 1 card. That's nice. 3 copies of that. This is the last one. We'll probably find out later. I guess it's more of like a defensive equivalent of the Goblin since it's neutral. The spell, Wind Blast. For only 1 cost, choose 1 enemy follower and deal it 2 damage. But on Spell Chain 10, deal it 4 damage instead. Okay. 2 of that. Sorcery Cache, a 2-cost quick. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may choose 1 spell from among them, reveal it and add it to your hand, and you may put a spell from among them into your graveyard. Return the rest to your deck bottom in any order. Very useful, especially since it's a quick. You can just run it on the opponent's field. During the opponent's turn. And you have play points to spare after that. You could actually immediately cast the spell that you search out using this effect if it's a quick. Fury Embrace, a 4-cost quick. Choose 1 enemy follower and destroy it. But on Spell Chain 10, deal its leader 3 damage as well. Now that is dangerous. 2 copies of that. Next, Magic Missile, a 3-cost quick. Choose 1 enemy follower, deal it 2 damage and draw 1 card. A bit expensive to get that additional draw, I feel. 3 copies of that. Next, Conjuring Golem. Now this sounds like it'll be creating our tokens. A 1-cost quick, place an attack type golem or a defense type golem in your EX area. I am going to be casting this like crazy. 3 copies, and now we go into the neutral followers with Healing Angel. She can be evolved for 1 cost, and on Fanfare, your leader gains 1 defense or life. So literally a Healing Angel. Okay, after that we just have the neutral spells we've seen in the other decks already. Angel Snipe for 1 target and Angel Barrage to bomb the opponent's field. And when Healing Angel evolves, your leader gains 2 defense or life, okay? So just multiple heals in order to outlast the opponent and buy that time to fill your graveyard with spells. This sounds like a really interesting deck so far, very different from the aggro, elf and royal decks. Now let's move on to Dragon. Man, golems followed by dragons, this is a good day for me. Now let's unleash the Snake Dragon's Claw Fangs. Starting with the Miscellaneous Cards, we have a very simple but very cool and deadly looking Dragon token. Just a vanilla for 4 cost 5/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5 of that and 2, 3, 4, 5 empty token cards? What are these? I guess this deck doesn't rely on tokens that much, so these are just blank cards that you can fill in and use as extra tokens of any type that you want. That's pretty nice. Our 3 evolve points, and finally our leader for the Dragon class or Dragoncraft deck, Roon. So we start with the boss, Fafnir of the Dragon trait. A whopping 8 cost to play for 7/8. And on Fanfare, deal all enemy followers 5 damage. This guy is crazy expensive, but he could turn the tables all on his own. Okay, I am liking what I see already. A very high cost deck it seems. I have heard that Dragoncraft in Shadowverse is similar to nature or green decks in other mana based card games, which tend to have a ramp mechanic of accumulating mana and being faster than the opponent at bringing out heavy cost minions. And ever since my childhood days playing Duel Masters all the way to Zenonzard more recently, RAM decks have always been one of my favorite styles of play. 2 cost spell, Dragon Oracle, choose one of the following. Either increase your max play points by 1 or draw 1 card. This is it. This is the kind of card that will remain relevant no matter how much the power creep goes, right? Like this card is pretty much basically the same as Fairy Life in Duel Masters, a 2-cost nature spell that gives you 1 additional mana. Even today, 20 years into the game, it is still being run at max capacity in like almost any deck that requires mana. I think Witch and Dragon might be the 2 decks that have my attention for now. Next we have Dragon Warrior. This is the 3/3/3 that can be evolved for 1 cost. Yup. And I believe 3 copies of that. Now let's check his evolve first. Okay, here is the evolved Dragon Warrior. He becomes a 4/4, and when evolves, choose 1 enemy follower and deal it 3 damage. Okay, simple removal. 3 copies of that. Okay, moving on. Dragonute's Princess on Fanfare. If you are an overflow, choose one enemy follower and deal it 4 damage. So overflow is a special keyword for the dragon class, and you are considered to be in the overflow states when your max PP is 7 or higher. So it goes very well with the deck's ramp mechanic. I really like how even though she's 2 cost, right, she's a low cost card, but she gets an effect that unlocks when you have, which is very late game when you have 7 max PP. So it's kind of like the ramp is not just for your high cost units, but also to power up your low cost units as well. Dragon Guard with Ward, and on Fanfare if you are in overflow, +2/+2. That I see being very strong in the late game, and which might not be very late considering this is a ramp deck. Next we have Fire Lizard. On Fanfare, choose one enemy follower or one enemy leader, deal it 1 damage. This could just end the game. 2 copies of that. Now this is an expensive unit at 7 cost, Dread Dragon. Choose one enemy follower and deal it 7 damage. Okay, nobody is surviving that. Except my Great Wolf Okami from my match yesterday. This card can evolve for 0 cost and on strike, +1 attack. Let's see. 3 copies. Now let's see well, it's basically becomes a phoenix at this point. Yeah, this is way too cool to be a rock, man. Anyway, on strike, +1/+1. And if you guys have forgotten, strike basically means this effect triggers when this follower attacks. 3 copies, I assume. Okay, now let's see who's next in the main deck. Glint Dragon. Is it just me or does this guy remind me of Skull Greymore? On Fanfare, choose one enemy follower and deal it 3 damage. Huh. Is it just me or are the dragons all very similar? They're kind of like a one-trick ponies or one-trick dragons, you could say. Next we have Dragon Rider. This can evolve for 1 cost. And on Fanfare, if you are in overflow, place a dragon token in your EX area. 1, 2, and 3. Now, I suppose that when it evolves, you can probably create another token or play one. When it evolves, if you are in overflow, gain 2 attack. Okay, more simple than I expected. 1, 2, 3. That's our last evolve minion, which is a neutral one. Hey, a swordfish kind of thing. Seablade Dragon. I guess it was a dragon after all. On Fanfare, if you are in overflow, this gains Storm. I see. And I would love to finish the game with an aquatic card like this. Next, we have a 1-cost spell, Blazing Breath. It's a quick. Choose one enemy follower, deal it 2 damage, but if you are in overflow, deal 4 damage instead. Nice. It's kind of like the spell chain that on I think spell chain 5 turns from a 2 to a 4 as well. Next we have a 3-cost spell, Dragon Wings. For 3 cost, deal all followers 2 damage, but if you are in overflow, deal 3 damage instead. Dude, that will just blow up the field. It doesn't even care if it's allied or your enemy. Every single follower on the field is getting burned down. Next, neutral follower, the Goliath, which can evolve for 2 cost. 1, 2. And then we have 1 Angelic Sword Maiden with Ward and 2 Angel Snipes. So let's take a look at the evolved Goliath. Nothing special, just a vanilla with 5/6. Okay, based on my first impressions, these seem to be a pair of very fun decks that suit my playstyles. And now that we've opened them, we can finally put them in a tutorial match to observe their mechanics in actual play. So look forward to that, and after that, I'll see you guys in the opening of the last 2 starter decks for Nightmare and Bishop. See you guys in the next Shadowverse Evolve video.